Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So on this channel I will be talking about some of my viewpoints about social justice and systemic racism. That's what I do, but I wanted to start out by going over some personal things about myself and sharing my journey with endometriosis. So I'm just going to jump right into it. Thank you all for watching the video, for whoever does, and make sure that you subscribe to the channel. So I'm going to start with my endometriosis journey, which actually started when I was 12. So when I was 12, I got my period, and my cramps were really bad. I mean, they were like, I was throwing up, and the pain was like in my butt and my back, and it was like really intense. It was almost like somebody's like stabbing you, and I was 12. I'm like, what the hell? So that you all know, I cuss a lot. This blog is going to be raw. I'm a raw, honest kind of person, so if you don't like cussing and shit like that, it's probably ain't the blog for you. But my mom took me to the gynecologist at 12. She was great. She's been great throughout this whole thing, but she's been very supportive. And she has endometriosis, so she kind of knew. She was like, I hope you don't have it. But she was like, it sounds like you might. So we went to, I was 12. We went to the doctor, and they did the exam. And he said, well, she probably does, but she's too young to do the procedure. So he put me on birth control. And it worked for about 2 years. After I got on it, I didn't really have a lot of painful periods until I hit 14. I don't know if it was high school or what, but when I got to high school, like the pain, it just came back. And I was throwing up again, the periods, almost passing out. The pain was so intense, I missed a lot of school, just like I did when I was 12 when it first hit. So then we went back to the doctor, and they put me on like a stronger dose. It worked a little bit. I would say it caused the periods to go like 2 months good and 2 months bad. So with endometriosis, it's scar tissue and it grows with your period. So after I got the new dose, it got a little better, on and off. We'll go 2 months here, 2 months with no pain, 2 months with pain. That followed me for years. I remember one day when I was in college, and my period came, like I literally just laid in a bed and cried. I don't want to say one day, it was a couple days. I just couldn't move. The cramps were so bad. All I could do was have my heating pad in the shower, and Tylenol, which doesn't work at all for endometriosis. It lasts like Tylenol. So I kind of dealt with that until I got like 22, and I said, well, I don't want to be on a birth control anymore. I had, gotten to a certain age and started to read a little bit more. I didn't want to be on. I thought I was on it too long, so I got off of it at 22. I got pregnant at 23. So after I had my daughter, when I was 24, it got horrible. I don't know if it was the pregnancy. I'm sure it was. That's what the doctor said. That kind of brought it back out. So then we went back to the doctor, and then he finally did the procedure, the laparoscopy. I'm trying to get this glaze out of my eyes, but it's because it's the sun. But we went back for that procedure, and they said, you have endometriosis. I'm like, yeah, no shit, I know that. So they diagnosed me, and then after that, they're like, well, there's all these, I'm going to say all these options. They didn't use that language. They said there was few options, and it was all birth control. They brought up a hysterectomy at 24. I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing that. I would like to get married and have more kids. They brought up more birth control, like the pill, and I didn't want the pill. So I got on this shot, the depot shot. And it made me gain a little weight. Not a lot, just a little bit. But it was helpful. I stayed on it for 2 years. The first year was okay. The second year, I had met my husband. I was like, I want to be getting married, want to have kids. So I got off of the shot, but I literally couldn't get my period back. It had like taken the period and like, I don't know what the hell it did with it, but I couldn't get it back. So it took 2 months to get it back. They gave me a pill to get my period back. And then we, tried to start to get pregnant. This didn't work. Endometriosis will cause infertility. So I always call my daughter a miracle child. Because they said it was very hard for me to get pregnant again, and I was unable to do that. We did do one procedure, like insemination, where they, tried to do that. It just didn't work. So I got off the shot, tried to get pregnant. That didn't work. And as you're doing that, your period comes back. That means all this pain starts to come back, and it did. So I went back to the doctor, got an oncologist, and I'm like, well, y'all gotta do something, you know. He tells me, literally tries to make me like I'm crazy. Or maybe it's like psychiatric, or maybe it's your stomach. I'm like, no, I know what the hell it is. It's endometriosis, y'all need to fix it. So we went back and forth for a while. I'm an advocate, and I'm damn sure going to advocate for myself. So I said, you need to send me somewhere to somebody who can know what the hell they're doing. So they sent me to an endometriosis specialist. And I'm like, there's a such thing? Now, I've had issues with this since I was 12 in Allegheny County, which I guess the name that if you don't live here would be Pittsburgh. So I live in the greater Pittsburgh area. I live in the Mall Valley, McKeesburg area, but we have one county, it's Allegheny County. So I'm like, you mean to tell me all these years and all this pain I've been in, and you never even told me about this shit? So I went to see the endo specialist, and she recommended the birth control, but she also recommended like a procedure, but the procedure would cause me not to be able to get pregnant again. I forgot the name of it, and I said, I don't want to do that. Like I want the option. At this point, I was in my early 30s. At this point, I was like, I'm not even want to do that. So she said the only thing you can really do is take this birth control. I didn't want to do that, so I just didn't take anything, and sucked it up for the next few years. Really, it was still that on and off kind of thing. It was 2 months here, 2 months there, but then the regular bleeding started. Oh yeah, very fun. So that shit started, and I would bleed like throughout the month when I wasn't on my period and shit. So that was horrible, and I was like, I can't continue to do this. So then I got back on like a low dose of a birth control pill, so my periods could be less chaotic. And at this point, I'm in like my late 30s. So that helped a little bit for a few years, and it really hit the last few years for me. So outside of having endo, I also have fibroids, I have cysts, and I have tumors. They're all benign, but I got all of them. So through all my visits, I should say the last 4 years to the gynecologist, they said you have these cysts, but they're not big, so they're not causing issues. And they really weren't. It was the endo that was causing the pain. So I said, all right, what do we do? So they said, we just watch them. I said, all right. So last Thanksgiving of last year, 2021, shit just went downhill for me. I also have sciatica and diverticulitis. I have all the chronic diseases. It's some fun shit. But Thanksgiving of 2021, the day before I went to the hospital, I was having really bad pain, and the pain came out of nowhere. I never forget it because my nonprofit, Take Action Mon Valley, had a Black Santa event the day before all of this started happening, and I was in so much pain. I was just downstairs on the couch, and then this pain came over me, like in the lower part of my stomach and my butt and my back. And it was really on like my side. So I'm like, maybe this is diverticulitis. I don't know. So I toughed through the event, and then I went to the ER, and they're like, oh, it's diverticulitis. They did a CT scan. We see a little bit of it. Take the pills. Shit don't work. Pain. When I tell you from the day before, like Thanksgiving of 2021 until March, this shit just stayed there. I'm like, what? So I had to go back to the ER 3 days later, like it's not working, like I'm still in pain. What the hell? So they said, oh, well, did another CT scan, and they said, well, diverticulitis is gone, so we think you might have a UTI. I'm like, well, give me something if that's what's causing the pain. Took that, didn't work. Go back to the ER, and they're like, oh, well, maybe these antibiotics didn't work. Let's give you more. They gave more of these fucking antibiotics. I come home, shit don't work. I literally go back to the ER. At this point, about 4 or 5 ER visits. They do another CT scan, and they're like, oh, well, that's not your gallbladder or anything like that. we think it's just a really bad UTI. I'm like, there's no way this is a damn UTI. Like, it doesn't cause this much pain, you all. Like, literally, when I tell you I was in so much pain, and it was like no relief, and I kept going to these doctors, this ER, that wasn't helping. My PCP at the time was supposedly so busy, so I couldn't even see her. So after the 5th ER visit, I was like, I'm sick of this shit. So I came home. Like, they checked me in and they said, well, we're just gonna keep you to monitor. I don't need you to monitor me. I need you to help me. But if you're not helping me, I'm not gonna stay here. Because it was, this particular ER visit I remember was the day after my daughter's birthday. So I spent my child's birthday, and so did her and my husband, that night in the ER. Like, I'm not staying here no longer. I'm leaving. So I left. I came home, and I said, I gotta figure this shit out. Because from that point, like, I, and people are gonna be shocked to hear me say this, but I had kind of given up. I thought that I was dying, and I was going to die. And I was just like, I don't have the energy. It was like everything in my body was shutting down. Literally, the pain was all through my stomach, my pelvic area, my back, and my butt. I couldn't walk. I had to use a damn wheelchair just to go to the ER, just to leave the house. I was crawling around the house. I couldn't walk. And then the pain started to get into my upper back. And since the pain was coming in all different places, I honestly thought that I was dying. I thought that I had worked myself to death. I had not taken care of myself, and my body had shut down. And for about a month, I just sat on the couch and just stood there and took Tylenol, because I was like, fuck it, you know? And then I feel like I needed that. I needed that time to just be like, yeah, I don't have to fight every motherfucking thing, because that's what I do in my life. I'm a fighter. I'm an advocate. I feel like I just needed that time to rest. So after that, I was like, yeah, I'm fighting for my life here. So I took myself to the gynecologist, and I was like, maybe like some shit is wrong down here, because everybody else is telling me, you know, it's my diverticulitis, UTI, maybe my sciatica. Like, they thought it was the sciatica. Gave me some pills for that. Shit didn't work. I went to the gynecologist. Of course, you know, everybody's so busy. So I had to get an emergency appointment, and I went in there, and she tried to convince me that my husband cheated on me, and I had a damn STD. And I'm like, lady, he did not cheat on me. Like, something else is wrong. She said, we're going to run off.